So this is what we're looking at. Some saying, Stevie, it's very balanced across the board. There are a few groups that stick out, but you could argue there's not really a group of death that really stands out and grabs your attention.
I'm going to disagree. I think Group H
All right.
is going to be the so-called group of death. Because every single one of them, in my opinion, there's nothing between them all.
Well, we will get to Group H as we go along, but right now let's take a closer look at Group A, because that's a host Qatar. The opening game will be Qatar against Ecuador. Senegal, the AFCON champions, and the Netherlands are also in there, the highest side in the FIFA rankings in Group A. But let's take it to Group B, shall we? Very interesting, particularly on this show, because it's England and the United States in the same group, and potentially Scotland,
What do you mean
Wales,
potentially?
or
Of course
Ukraine.
it is.
Well, listen, we've got to give the others a chance too. Iran are in there as well, and let's not forget their FIFA ranking is not too bad at 21. Well, we did mention that we've got Gregg Berhalter and Alexis Nunes in Doha for us this week. Alexis managed to catch up with US coach Gregg Berhalter to get his reaction to this draw.
All right, Greg, congratulations first for qualification.
Thank you.
I know it came recently.
Yes.
Initial thoughts on the group?
It's exciting. Anytime you get to play England in a World Cup as a starting point, that's a really exciting matchup. With their history and their fans and the atmosphere in the stadium, it's going to be a great matchup. And then when you think about Iran, who was the first Asian team to qualify, very difficult team, high-scoring team, and it will be a difficult game. And then the third opponent right now is unknown, but you're pulling from three good opponents in Wales, Scotland, or Ukraine.
And with that said, any one of those that you probably are wary of, or you want to avoid, or maybe even just relish the challenge?
Yeah, at this stage, we're ready to play anybody. The group has grown tremendously over this last 3 years. It's still a young team, but I think the way that the group has been embracing challenges, we'll deal with anyone that comes our way.
And I know you mentioned the England matchup, of course. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at social media, but the memes have started. The soccer versus football has started. Is this the kind of challenge that you want earlier on in the World Cup? Because you kind of learn from these challenges early on.
Absolutely. If you can prepare and play well and potentially get a result against England, it gives you the confidence that you can move on and do well. And so, that's going to be a big game. There's going to be a lot of attention around that game. I'm thankful it's the second game because we'll already be in stride, and it's not like, we're getting hit with that game in the first one. But, we're certainly looking forward to that matchup.
As are we, as we now welcome in Gregg Berhalter, Hercules Gomez, and Ian Darke as well. Herc, I've got to start with you. You were there in 2010 when England and USA were in the same group, and the USA topped that group with both sides progressing. Can they do it again?
Well, if Robert Green's in goal, that would certainly help. I still remember before this game the tabloids that it read easy. It was England, it was Algeria, it was Slovenia, and then it was Yanks. That's what the tabloids said, and that's locker room material. Regardless where it came from, it seems to be the mindsets of a lot of English fans, the mindset of a lot of the English press, the British press, that this will be a cakewalk for them. And it may be, because line for line, they're a better team. They're a more talented team than anybody in the group. It's undeniable. But this young team is, for the U.S. men's national team, they're naive in a good way. They're naive in a good way where on their day, with the transition type of football they play, they can definitely surprise. But listen, Gregg's talking about the second game right there versus England. I'd focus on the first game, because regardless of who it is, if you don't get a favorable result in that first game, heading into that second game, needing something from England, that's going to be an uphill battle for them.
Yeah, that second game, England, USA, the day after Thanksgiving, could be quite an occasion, as was the 2010 World Cup, Ian. Very memorable. Your call, go USA. Is this a side that you can see causing excitement and getting good results in this group again this year?
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about this American team still in England, because I've heard pundits since the draw was made already saying, well, we know the USA are an energetic, strong team and they always fight hard. Well, that was kind of like the old USA. This is a new USA. They've got this fearlessness of youth. They've got a lot of players who've got Champions League experience. And I think they'll bring that fearlessness to the competition. I think they'll get a lot of people talking about themselves. I'm not sure they can beat England, but we've said that before. They topped the group, as you said, in 2010 ahead of England. You're never quite sure what you're going to get with England, although they've done well in recent tournaments. I think the USA can go well, and I think they've got a realistic chance of getting through to the knockout stages.
Gab, is this a matchup that's caused excitement out there in Doha, England and USA?
Yeah, I mean, one of many. I mean, I don't think people here particularly get that worked up when you've got Spain against Germany as well to come in the opening round. But there's certainly a lot of nuance to it, and I also think it's a mistake to make this whole group about England and the United States, and I'm sure Gregg Berhalter and Gary Southgate aren't doing that, because when we heard from him, his praise for Iran, who have had some ups and downs, but can also take points off you. And also, let's not forget that other UEFA playoff team. England don't do psychodramas very well. And if they're in there against the old enemy, Scotland, who they couldn't beat at the Euros, if they're in there against Wales with Gareth Bale donning his Superman cape, or if they're in there against Ukraine, who, let's face it, most neutrals will be backing, you could be in an untidy spot there. So I think it's potentially an added layer of pressure.
Has that just given, Stevie, Scotland even more incentive to try and get here?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that England can't do is look at the group, look at the names, and think that they're just going to turn up and play, because every single one of those teams can cause England problems. And the USA, I kind of think of the USA as a different team today. The USA that's done well previously has done well because of its physicality, defending for your life, and doing teams on the break. I don't think this USA team can do that, but they have players with ability that, if they're all on their game on the day, they can beat anybody by playing football. So listen, if England take their eye off the ball, then they can get caught out. That's for sure.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for live streaming, premium content, and of course, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN Plus.